What's fucking good, everybody? Hope you guys are all having a killer Saturday so far. Glad to be back with you guys. Sorry about last week. It was just a really hectic week. But tonight we're joined by my buddy Rodney from Black Sun Reptiles. As you guys already know, this dude has some killer stuff going on. So really looking forward to having him on. I'm not going to, drag it out anymore. We're just going to bring him right on. What up, brother?
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Shit, another day, man.
Good.
Chat's already popping off like crazy. Just to say hi to some of the early birds. What's up, Shane, Chad, Mindy, Tucker? Damn, everybody in here. Mary, freaking everybody's in here. Even big homie Will in the house.
Okay.
What's up, man? Julio, everybody. Thank you guys for jumping on. So
Mary,
obviously,
wow.
What?
I said Mary even? Good work.
Yeah, Mary even. Yep. So usually I like to start these off with just the basic questions, man.
Sure.
What got you into the hobby? What do you do? What do you work with? Can we kind of start off with that for the guys that don't know?
Yeah, no, like many other people in the hobby, I started off with, catching snakes and lizards outside. I was just intrigued by the wilderness. I grew up on the West Coast. So I actually lived in two parts out west. So I lived in the Bay Area. So, very similar. If anybody follows Brian Gundy, I lived about 20 minutes north of him.
Damn.
So kind of the same environment, rolling hills, like 20 minutes away from the coastline. And then I spent my teenage years in the desert, catching leopard lizards and whiptails and trying to stay away from rattlers and admiring them from afar. But yeah, so I caught my interest early. Story that I like to tell is that really the thing that bridged the gap with animals for me is when I seen a psychologist who was actually working at the school my brother was going to, who did animal therapy. And so when I seen that you could really bring things together with helping people and utilize animals, that just really kind of just made my mind go crazy. I was like, oh, okay, so I can streamline what I already have a passion about. And maybe potentially do it professionally in the future. So I've always had animals. We were keepers more than anything. So this whole idea of becoming a breeder and actually making it come to a reality was a pipe dream, man. It didn't seem real to me at the time. I wanted to breed dogs. So I was really into dogs, and I was trying to figure out how in my life that I could breed dogs. And
I got to ask, what kind of dogs?
Yeah. So when I was younger, I had that mentality. My first dog ever was a Rottweiler. So I loved the German dogs, Dobermans, Rottweilers.
Yeah.
So I had a passion for that. I've had a pit. And what pit bulls were when I was a kid to what they are now is just incredible. Just the bully breed in general, what they've manifested into and what people are doing with them. It's insane. But
dude, I love the tricolors, man.
Yeah,
I don't like the little mini bullies. No offense to anybody out there. It's just not my thing. I like the full, American. Yeah. But man, nothing like a freaking blue nose tricolor.
The blue nose.
Those dogs.
Those are my favorite. The pit bull that I had was a seal, so it was like that grayish. Color. And he was white. His name was Lance. He was an incredible dog.
Nice.
He was great. And then in my older years, living in the Midwest, something about myself that I'll probably share later is, I like the outdoors, hunting, fishing, things like that. So we have labs.
Oh, we're definitely going to get into that.
Yeah. So I have labs. And I'll probably always have a lab. Just I can appreciate the working aspect of them, the retrieving, the training, the discipline.
Yeah. Very loyal dogs.
Yep. So always been into animals, and when, like I said, the opportunity and the time really kind of came together, that's when I was like, you know what, we should probably start exploring this breeding thing. And plus I have a little girl that, lives here at Black Sun Reptiles who really was pushing the envelope, like, Dad, we should start breeding. Check this out. And so that's she was kind of, so we came into it together. I started taking her to shows and she's like, can we get this? Can we get that? It was like a candy store for her. And so when I seen that she was really passionate about it kind of, reinvigorated my passion. So,
So at this time, would you consider it more of still a hobby or a business at this point?
I think right now we're crossing that threshold. You know,
You're like right at that line.
Yeah, we were at the extreme end of hobbyist. You know, and I think this year we're going to take that official leap and start making things a little bit more serious. So I'm not going to go full time or anything like that. You know, I enjoy my profession, but we want to get a space. You know, I was talking to you earlier. I just walked the property today.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it's going to be the perfect one, but we're looking for some more space and to have a building. I want to host people. You know, I want to have people who can stop by and see an open collection. And right now it's just not that. You know, it's more for us.
And you don't always want to have people in and out of your home and stuff like that. I'm in the same boat here, you know.
Yeah.
So I fully understand that.
I'm hoping by this time next year, you know, that there will be a little bit of a different narrative. You know, and that's a lot of the time that I'm spending now in terms of, you know, where I'm investing my time in my relationships is with people that are like-minded, you know, that are trying to grow and trying to kind of propel themselves to that next stage, or have been doing it for a while and are really kind with information and supportive of the avenue that, you know, myself and the people like me are taking. So meeting a lot of great people. It's just been incredible, really. You know, I talk about it all the time. You know, people who know, and people that don't, they don't. So, you know, they're missing out.
Exactly, man. No, this community is extremely wonderful compared to a lot of the different, you know, hobbies, or
for sure.
You know, if we just go with the hobby, if you look at a lot of different community hobbies within stuff, like for instance, you said you like the outdoors, you know, I love fishing.
Yeah.
You and I both know the fishing community is nothing like the reptile community. I mean, that's cutthroat versus friendly and awesome. You know?
Nobody's telling you the secret color of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the bait or what have you. You have to figure that out on your own.
Yep, exactly.
And I feel, that's where this has come from, you know. You know, I don't want to get too much into the weeds on it because a lot of guys talk about this, but that's, you know, what I remember it being when I was younger, you know. It was kind of a closed community. And I had a really good friend whose dad was huge into kind of herpetoculture and like had a crazy collection. They had monitors. And I remember that he had a whole room, a walk-in closet that opened up to a room for just, I can't remember if it was just a straight rainbow boa, but it was just crazy. It was when the Helix thermostat was built into the wall. It was like flush mount. I was like, damn. This is insane. You know, he always had the Reptile magazine. So we hung out at his house a lot. You know, we're playing PlayStation, Twisted Metal, whatever. Those are good days. You know? Learning about, you know, just being kids, riding our bikes and learning about reptiles. It was a cool thing. So to see grown men doing it at that level, opened my mind as well. Cause I was like, oh my goodness, this is like a, 40-something-year-old man. And look at this collection.
That has to be inspiring growing up.
Yeah, it was cool.
You know.
That's
awesome, man. I had one friend that was like that growing up. It was this girl, Trista. I'll always remember this. I haven't spoke to the girl since like middle school, right? But I used to go over there and they had maybe this was part of my love for berms, but they had berms in their living room in a huge like wooden framed enclosure. It was badass and decked out, but the whole front was chicken wire.
Oh.
Like something you'd look at today and be like, what the
right. Right.
And then you went into it was her brother's room and it was full of rainbow boas.
Beautiful.
And then her room was full of king snakes and corn snakes and like just all different stuff. And I think that was part of it, man. You know, you see that and you're like, oh my God, people can actually do this. What?
It's life changing. Yeah. And you know, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be in the position where I'm at now if I hadn't had those impactful interactions with certain people. Like I feel like through my life, I met lots of people who did cool things. Like I keep talking about Brian Gundy. I just think it's so amazing what he does in terms of like bridging the gap for kids in the community and how he has this outreach program where he introduces kids in a safe environment to animals, to reptiles, and educates them. Like there's not enough of that going on. And I always kind of seen myself being that person, you know, because I always reached out to people that were doing it in the community. I've always worked with kids. And so I bring them into the facilities that I was running, or they would be the guest of the month, just to get people exposed in a healthy, in a safe way. Because a lot of people have negative interactions surrounded around reptiles that, you know, kind of haunt them the rest of their life. And then they're like, they're no good and they don't want to learn anymore. And, you know, I think part of our responsibility as being keepers and breeders is to open those doors and to bridge those gaps. And that's kind of a lot of the silent work that I do. I always, if I'm in the library with kids and they're asking about, reptiles, what have you, I'll show them the section of books, and then we'll talk about, they'll have questions, and then I'll sit there and spend an extra 5 minutes answering them. Just little stuff, that's
amazing, man.
Keeps the doors open, because like I said, there's always those individuals out there for me, whether it's friends, dads, or teachers, or whoever.
Yeah.
And so it's just about paying it forward, really.
Hey, that's amazing, man. You got to bridge that gap and kind of, like you said, and get rid of that stereotype or that stigmatism a lot of people have,
Right.
I remember even people in my own family were like, what the hell are you going to do with what animals, And it's like, you guys just give it a chance and you'll learn, a lot.
Right.
Like, they're amazing animals and they're so misunderstood, man. So I respect that so much, because
for sure,
like you said, a lot of people don't. We get in our own lane and we do our thing and we forget that, this is weird to a lot of people, and they're scared of the animals we keep, and we got to break that stigmatism so we can continue to do what we do.
Absolutely. I know people get turned off by obscure questions. I embrace them. Like, if somebody says something to me that indicates that they have an ill will or feeling, but they're engaging in a conversation, that shows me, one, that they're curious, and two, they want to learn something. Yeah. So I just take that opportunity as a teachable moment to engage in a conversation and just reframe the narrative. If
absolutely,
you let that go, then that's one more person that is going to, one, advocate for what we do in a negative way, and two, not want to be a part of what we're doing. And so you
can't miss those opportunities, man. Mm-hmm. You can tell, just like you said, in people, when they're curious and they have questions, but they still have that odd feeling, that is your trigger and your perfect time. That's your moment to flip that switch right around.
For sure.
I've done it so many times, man. It's an amazing feeling too, because you see the look in their eyes afterwards, and that makes it all worth it. Just that look.
A lot of these guys in here that vend, those are the moments too. Like, I've been to so many shows where I see vendors taking the time to. It's funny because the kid's always the one that's fearless, right? So they'll walk up to the table, and then I see the vendor taking time to connect the parent. Yeah. And then they have like this whole moment, and then the parents like holding a snake for the first time, and then they agree to, have their first animal. It's literally a beautiful thing. Like, it's a cool thing when that happens the way that it does. So. Oh,
absolutely, man. So have you started vending shows yet?
I'm probably not going to do too much vending. I feel like that's my relaxation time. It's also a time to kind of social. I have lots of friends who vend locally. So like we might help or do whatever, I think there is something to say for vending, though. Like, it's kind of like a feather in the cap a little bit. So I'm not off the vending bandwagon yet, but I do spend time at shows socially, and take that opportunity. It's kind of relaxation for us. I bring the kids and things like that. But I'm not, like I said, once we expand and things get more serious, I think just kind of as a check off the box, we'll do some shows just to hang out for those exact moments, right? Just
exactly.
Piece, if nothing. So
that's why I ask, is because I've only vended a few shows so far, but that's been my favorite part of it. It wasn't, obviously it's nice to walk home with a wad of cash or, get in your car and leave. But honestly, at the same time, it was more rewarding for me to be able to, take out berms and balls and let people hold them and interact. And just the amount of people in one day who got excited over that. It was overwhelming for me to a point where it was like, man, this is like too awesome.
Yeah. No, it is. It just triggers those endorphins, man. You just can't really get enough, especially when you're helping people and connecting them. It's cool.
So is it mainly just ball pythons, right?
Yeah. So we actually, the first little mini breeding project that we took on was just a little trio of leopard geckos. And then we really enjoyed it. So we expanded on that. We have a nice little group of a collection of leopard geckos now that we kind of put on hold since the ball pythons started growing so much. But that was our first passion. I feel like it was kind of the gateway to morphs and color palettes for ball pythons. Like, because we had snows and trimper albinos and raptors, and all these like different color palettes and it's, I don't know. It's just
I'm so glad incredible. You said some like morphs that I actually knew what the hell they were. I'm not gonna lie.
No, there's all sorts of crazy stuff now. Like,
right? Those what are the eclipses?
Yeah, we have
those like jet black leopard geckos.
No, those are called it's a dark something.
Okay.
But the eclipse is like half black of an eye and then half normal, so it looks like a moon eclipse. Yeah, that's where that name derived from. And yeah, we've bred some of those. They're cool.
Oh damn.
But yeah, they're neat. So leopard geckos kind of were our first thing. I mean, Maddie wanted to breed bearded dragons, and I'm like, I can't handle 30 babies a clutch, so it's just like, we're not going to do that right off the bat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think once we have more space, we'll probably take on a few other different species in terms of keeping and maybe even breeding. But right now, our true focus, I appreciate that. Right now, our true focus is ball pythons, just like everybody in this chat. Most of the people are ball python focused, and then maybe have, I know Will's working with some hognose, which is really cool. Same with Shane and probably a few other people. Love those posts too, by the way. I'm so glad that they're starting to have some success with those animals. They're pretty cool, because that's something that you don't need to switch up your husbandry too drastically to keep and produce. So that might be something down the road that we tinker with too.
Heck yeah. No, it's definitely interesting keeping a number of species in one space. You gotta play things right, because otherwise it doesn't work out.
Well, and you have to pick your species, right? So hogs, leopard geckos, and balls, we'd be good, But then you start like, emerald trees, and green tree stuff, and where your humidity has to be spot on, your micro enclosures have to be on point,
ambience lower and everything. Yeah.
And would it be great to have, one of those just kind of unbelievable representations of an animal in your collection? Yes, absolutely.
Right.
If I do it, I want to do it right. And so that takes time. But right now, the focus is definitely balls. The big snake guy in our family is my younger brother.
Okay.
He's got his boa. He's had it for years. I'll never forget the day when he bought it. It was like this huge ordeal. We went to the East Bay Vivarium. We didn't even go to like a breeder, and that it's the longest running reptile store in the country, I believe. But you're a West Coast. You're on the West Coast. You know about it. So we grew up 40 minutes from it on the other side of the bridge, and so that was our place. We always went to East Bay Vivarium, and we spent the day there. And my brother held every animal that was a potential purchase. I remember he almost walked out of there, and I wish he would have. I still tell him to this day, it's like 12 years later, with a breeding pair of diamond pythons. They were so sick. Oh,
Jesus.
They were so sick. He had them, and he was going to get them, and I was like, those are the ones I wanted him to get. And he ended up just getting, it was like a hatchling, I think, call albino or boa. And he still has it to this day.
Yeah.
He built the enclosure and what have you, but he literally held every snake in that store. They kept bringing stuff out from the back. I'm like, where are these snakes coming from?
Right. Whole breeding facility in the back.
Yeah, that was another one of those, moments that I'll never forget, where people were just so gracious and helpful, because he was just a young kid, and I was like the big brother, I'm trying to, save the day, giving him the ride over there and act like I know what I'm doing. But
right,
I was just supporting him. He wanted to get his first snake. And of course, he wanted to get a bigger animal.
Yeah.
He figured it out pretty quickly that he didn't want to get the Burmese, because they had a couple in the back. He's like, yeah, that's too much.
Definitely not for everybody.
Yeah. But yeah, so smaller animals for us, we have kids and stuff. So
I feel that
safer for us anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, and no hots or anything like that. Cool stuff though. Like, I love it all. I love all the reptiles. So
of course. Hey, and ball pythons are still cool as shit. I just always like to ask, because you never know who's working on some hidden projects or what.
We don't have too much extreme stuff. What we're just focusing on is dialing in on all these different colors and morphs, man. We love it. So,
well, I mean, I got to throw this. It seems like you're doing a pretty good job of dialing it in.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of fat clutches going. What are you got to be close to 15, 20 now?
Yeah, I think I might be on, I think I've cut 13, but yeah, we're probably shooting for 18, 19 clutches this year.
Nice.
If everything pretty high yield, everything pretty much hit. I had one or two animals that one's still in question and one I know is not going to go.
Yeah.
But that was a stretch anyways. But yeah, in terms of, focusing on the positive, man, it's been a good yield. So.
Oh, heck yeah. Plus, I mean, still 18 clutches, man. That's killer.
Yeah, it's good. And I think last year we did 6, so it's a big jump.
Yeah.
But I was pretty, tactical and strategic, about improving our infrastructure and getting things ready and making sure we had the racks prepared and the feed prepared and upping the rodent production and just making sure everything was dialed and it's working out. Everything's coming to fruition, which is great.
That's funny, man, because that's actually one of my main questions I always like to ask is infrastructure or genetics. And I kind of already knew the answer to this question, but I love hearing others' point of views from it because I see so many people who, all they focus on at first is just the genetics. They're like, what's the coolest snake I can get? I'll put them in Sterilite tubs on a freaking shelf with heat tape, like, just with the Sterilite lids or whatever. Like, I've seen some weird shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen people keep hundreds of animals in an ambient warehouse, like
ambient rooms,
successfully. But for me, it was infrastructure. Just making sure that I had things that, and we're still improving it. I hope to get to a day where if I need to go to a show or run up and visit somebody else's collection or what have you, everything's dialed. Where if I need somebody to watch the collection, or Kayla's going to take care of it for a long weekend. If I'm meeting one of you guys, across the country somewhere, that everything's dialed enough where I can step away from it and still have confidence that things are going to be adequate. So
absolutely, man.
That's important.
Yeah, it's such a weight taken off your shoulders once you have that capability and that equipment to be able to handle that.
For sure.
Because I know, when I was first starting out, I would always get worried about stuff like that. Like, oh, is, the thermostat going to go wrong or this or that? And it's like, now I don't have to worry about that. Everything's dialed. There's alarms on everything in here, like cameras to back it up. I'm good.
No. I mean, and obviously even with the perfect plan and what have you, things go wrong. And
of course.
But, the peace of mind is priceless. So you want to do the best you can with what you have. And I always infrastructure for me, the animals will come, man. For sure.
Have you seen the new Spider Robotics herpstats that connect to your Wi-Fi?
The Wi-Fi ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are cool. I don't have them, but
my buddy has been testing them out. I'm waiting for them to do the 4 and the 6 with that.
Does VE have a version 2 or just?
I think it's just herpstat. Yeah,
that's cool.
I was looking at those though because I'm like, that'd just be another step in that infrastructure of being able to check everything.
That's huge to be able to remotely change temps. That's huge,
right? That connected with a Wi-Fi mini split, you're set,
dude. Yeah,
dude. So back into this because I know we could just go and go, but I have to ask, what's going on with this project, bro?
I got two girls that are growing up. They'll be ready for next year. And they're both blackhead Mojaves. And so they're sisters that I held back. And really, I was actually just talking to a couple people about, at some point, I think I'm going to have to pull the trigger on a power male that's either super blackhead or blackhead, which probably I'll go super. Yeah. Because I just love that project. Blackhead is a gene that I'm very passionate about. I probably don't talk about it enough because I don't have any eggs to back it up yet, but next year that's going to change. Those girls should be ready. And I'm just kind of making sure that I have the right male for her. But even if I don't bring in something else, I'm pretty confident that we'll make
I'm sure you've got some killer males to take those girls too. I actually just hatched my first blackheads last season. So as soon as I saw you had black stuff, I'm like, oh, I got to have this conversation.
Yeah, those girls are a couple years old now, so they're getting up to size. They're doing good. So I'm hoping in the fall, we'll get after it.
So what are the some of the combos or goals you have with the Blackhead project? Do you have anything in mind already, like that you really want to hit, or are you just kind of playing it by ear and seeing what's out there?
Yeah, no, I think a couple different directions. There's some dark stuff I want to tinker with. Nothing really specific, but in terms of being specific, lavender, man, I want to get my head into the lavender project, and just like on the light side of things, just run it to that as well. And so that's another thing I'm debating. Like I was thinking about taking one of the girls to a lighter male and then the other girl to a darker side, just so I can have those contrasts.
Okay, that contrast there. Mm-hmm. Okay. I can dig that. Speaking of contrast, this shit.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah. That might be your answer right there. Those two light colored animals in the middle are both.
Let me throw this back up.
Yeah, those are both females, man. Yeah. So I think those are the Postave yellow belly cypress. And
nice.
Yeah, the one that I hatched first that kind of blew my mind and I posted was the one on the right, and then the next one, and then the really reduced one with the like almost like the electricity up on the back.
Yeah, the one going across the middle.
That came out second, and I was like, I didn't think it could get any better.
Right.
So when that one came out, I was like, oh my! And then I popped both of them. And I was like, both female. Oh my goodness.
Oh hell yeah.
So yeah, that's huge. So yeah,
definitely hold back girls right there.
Yeah. And then the one on the far left, he's a looker too. He's a cypress, yellow belly. I'm not for sure what else is in him.
That whole clutch right there is just absolutely stunning, honestly. You killed it with the odds on that one, bro.
Yeah, and that one, to be honest, was kind of an accident. I ran 2 males to her. He stole the clutch. Yeah, because I had 2 other cypress breedings that I had planned. So I have another cypress to a Mojave that's on the ground, and then I have a clutch that I need to cut. You want me to go get them? No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, if you want to, but
but I have another clutch that's just a cypress to a pastel because I wasn't anticipating the third one, and that one ended up being the best, which is crazy. So sometimes things don't go according to plan, and they work out, which is great.
Hell yeah, man. I know I'm actually fairly familiar with that with my recent clutch.
Yeah, you know all about it.
Yeah, not what I wanted, but it worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, cypress, after I seen what it does, one thing that people don't talk about the gene enough in terms of what it actually presents is there's an HDing effect to it, to the animals that you can't really see, that it really like, I don't know, it just brings out a vibrance. That's hard to see. Yeah. And so not only do you get all these, pattern changing and colorations, but there's an absolute vibrance to the animals. Yeah. That's very difficult to tell. And so all these cool clown combos that you're seeing with cypress, I guarantee you in real life that they have a sheen to them and like a look to them that are even better than what the pictures show.
That's good to know, man. I've only seen like literally a very, very few, less than a handful of cypress in person. Yeah.
Especially
it's one of those genes that really intrigues me.
Yeah, especially with yellow belly. And and another cool thing that I discovered just by trial and error is that pastel actually does good in cypress too. Because I'm team pastel with the DG stuff, right? So like nobody's gonna tell me that pastel's no good. I just say DG in the next sentence and that's solved.
Then you're good.
But it's also incredible what it does, and in a lot of different things, but in cypress too. So it does a lot of different stuff and kind of breaks up the back patterning too. Yeah, I had to really break it down and see a lot of people's hatchlings because it's a new enough project where people are uncertain. So you bounce it off of some of the guys that have been working it for years, and they'll give you some feedback. Which is always appreciated, but. You also, you have to do a lot of comparing and contrasting on new projects. I know you just hatched an incredible animal. I mean, that's something that you probably had to do. Like, hey, does this look like that? How is this? And I know there's a lot of guys and breeders in the chat. Puzzle, here it comes.
It's coming.
Team Puzzle. There's going to be a lot of conversation about what is this doing and what genes are in this, especially when people start going big. And multi puzzles, and it's going to be crazy. So.
Oh yeah. So with the cypress, you said yellow belly, and I know you, like myself, love the gravel and highway stuff. So are you gonna take it that direction?
Yeah, it'll be there. Yep. It'll be there. So cypress super gravels, cypress highway, stuff like that.
Man, that's gonna be amazing.
You know what else I hatched that I'm interested to see? Is some cypress potions.
Okay.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. So, it's like this purpley grayish animal, looks ghost. Yeah. And it has a bright yellow stripe down the back. And then there's some tones on the side that are starting to come out. I hatched 3 of them. I only popped 2, so it's 1.1, which is cool. And then there's a third one I haven't popped yet. But So, I want to see what those look like, too, because that's pretty neat. you know, because the Mystic Mojave interaction with the Cypress, and
Yep.
I don't know if there's yellow belly or pastel in there either. So
Yeah,
you know,
either. Wait
But-
till they shed out. Maybe they'll change that hue a little bit and see some more.
Absolutely. But I've
That's
been doing
interesting, man.
a lot of studying, you know, and that's one thing I encourage everybody to do, especially with these projects, before, after, and during.
Yep.
You know, research, have conversations, train your eye. That's one thing, you know, I had people tell me one thing and I wasn't seeing what they were telling me. So then I started training my eye, started looking at more examples and researching simpler, you know, genetics. Because that's what another thing that I really enjoy about this industry and about breeding in general is the just intricacies of identifying animals, you know?
Yeah.
I just really want to get to a point where when somebody picks up the phone and says, "Hey, Rodney, I hatched this. What is that?" I want to say this, this, and this, you know, and I know where we're going in terms of, you know, 5, 6, 7 gene animals. You know, there's, as Ozzy would say, a lot of theoretical IDing going on. It's impossible, but that's something I'm working on too. I'm just really trying to refine my craft. So there's a lot of multi-layer, you know, I guess,
it's funny you say that. I actually love when people send me messages like that where they're like, "Hey, can you help me ID this?" Because even if I have no fucking idea, I want to see it and try to learn too, because it gives me something to learn and, you know,
that's exactly right.
So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's a good guy up in Canada. You know, he's in Will's Patreon, Charles. And every time somebody posts something, Charles goes, "What's the pairing?" And one day I think I asked them, like, you know what? And he said, "I just want to know. Yeah, like I want to learn, you know." And I love that. I love that about him. It's not, because so many people are like, "Oh, well, what's the pairing? You know, whether it's cool or not, or do I put it on a pedestal or not?" He just wants to know the genetics. So in his mind, he can, you know, figure out what it is for himself. And I love that. So that's good stuff.
No, I've seen his stuff. I need to make sure I'm checking his stuff out more on IG, because I've only seen it on the Discord. Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah. I'm slacking on that, bro. All right, so this thing, man. Okay, first off, for everybody watching, holy shit. That's all I gotta say, bro.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta ask, where you plan on taking this stuff?
Yeah, that goes anywhere.
Anywhere.
That goes anywhere. That's the same affinity that I have for DG in a recessive project I have for lace in a codon project. You know, a big shout out to Marshall at Marshall Laws Morphs. I know Will works lace and a lot of other guys are working lace too, but Marshall has been the one that spent the time with me to make sure that I was educated enough to know where, you know, what I could do with that project and whether it was worth investing in. And so, we ended up picking that animal up this year. And the thing that I've learned about lace and what I understand about its interactions with the animals that we have is that I don't think I can mess it up. So I don't think with the super form you can mess it up. And so,
oh hell no.
I'm pretty stoked on that one. You know, it's going to be again pastel and lace, pastel and DG, all great. And we have quite a bit of pastel animals. Now
I think everybody's got that problem to a degree. There's pastel
and I was strategic this year about making sure that I wasn't carrying it too far into further projects. However, the ones that I hatched a pinstripe clutch the other day, and I think a couple of killer animals in there, a couple super pastel pinstripe Enchi lessers maybe.
Ooh, damn!
And they're incredible. They're incredible. So I don't know. Like I said, you know, a lot of people have their thoughts on pastel. I don't
think I've seen that clutch yet, man.
Yeah, I'll have to get a release.
Okay, I was gonna say I thought I was slacking.
I know. I cut it on YouTube.
Oh, did you?
I cut it on YouTube, but you can't it's different. When they crawled out, I was like, yeah. But I did cut it on YouTube. So
yes, with yellow belly and lace. Yep.
Mauricio, what's up, my man?
So in my opinion, yellow belly complex goes with everything. There's nothing I've seen yellow belly or gravel in that I don't like. I mean, really.
Yes.
I mean, that's something that just kind of goes everywhere. And it's almost kind of like you were saying pastel. Some people avoid pastel and things. I would never avoid the yellow belly complex.
No, pastel and clown isn't a top tier or top tier result. DG clown, lace clown, you might start opening up some avenues. Your pastel kind of makes a comeback in clown, but pastel clown, you kind of washes out the head and the animal stays a little bit, brown and what have you. And it's not as alluring. I mean, I'm a huge pied guy, and pastel pieds aren't my favorite, at all. It kind of browns things out a little bit. But there's definitely a place for it. I mean, I've just come to the realization, which I think most people who are really being honest with themselves probably have too. Like, it's just a matter of time about what you need to unlock and what genes you need to put together. There's no more of, I'm not having this gene. It's just, what am I willing to do to unlock the potential of it?
Exactly.
And that's important. So
I love that state of thought, man, or that mindset. You know what I mean? Because like you said, there's certain interactions that look like crap, but you could take the same gene minus one or two things and throw one or two different things in there, and it's going to be holy shit. But it wouldn't look the same without that one that ruined the other combo.
When I was doing my research on the cypress stuff, that was something that was apparent to me. Like a 2-gene cypress, something looked one way, and then they added the 3rd gene, and it blew my mind. It was like totally different. And then they actually talked about it. I wish I could remember whose video I was watching, but it was incredible. Like, I was like, you know what? And that's another thing people don't talk about too much either. They talk about like, well, pastel and clown. Like, I just got down that, went down that road. Yeah. But add one more gene, then what? Or add 2 more genes, and then what? We get really caught up on a single to single interaction. Most narratives go that direction.
Yeah, 100%. So the new thing, I guess, then is going to be what? DGs making pastel clowns cool again?
There it is. Well, according to Will, it doesn't matter what it is. It's on the other side. And I don't think he's wrong. So, DG everything for sure.
Had to poke a little fun.
That's good.
So, back to hatchlings, bro. Yeah. I'm just going to throw some pictures at you because I want to know about these before we move on.
That was the one that I mentioned earlier that crawled out first. That's fresh out of the egg, Pastave yellow belly cypress. And then the reduced pattern one in the middle of the previous picture crawled out second. But you could see that what that gray is doing, and it's coming over the dorsal. Pastel actually is what's destroying that dorsal right there. And I didn't know that until I did some research. So the reason why that's all destroyed on the back is because of the pastel. Yeah. And so if you look at like a pastel cypress, it doesn't have a smooth dorsal. It doesn't have a stripe. It's all over the place.
It's that interaction between pastel and cypress doing that then.
Yep. Because a Cypress Mojave, a Cypress Mystic is a striped dorsal animal. And so what I was just like, well, how am I getting these blown dorsals up? And it was the pastel that does it. And so there's another example, of that gene doing something that you wouldn't expect it to.
Yeah, that's a crazy interaction, especially with the cypress in there, because that's not what I would have expected without the cypress.
Yeah, and the cool thing about that animal is that the sides aren't necessarily white. It's that gray purple color that a potion has. Because of because of either the Mojave or the Mystic in it, and then those animals also have a blue eye, like the eye on them is blue, like from the Bell complex. Like
that's interesting.
I'll take I have a macro lens on the camera, and I'll get close to one and take a cool picture.
Oh, dude, definitely do that. Yeah, I love the eyes on snakes when you get those nice up close. They're so unique.
It's gonna be sick. But they have the blue. That's how you know they're Bell complex. They have the blue eye. It's cool.
So I know you got a lot of projects going on, but if you had to just pick one favorite gene, what would it be? I can make it a little easier. Let's say if you had to pick one codom and one recessive, could you do it?
Yeah. No, if I had to narrow down and just focus on a project, man, I would say recessive would be DG.
Okay.
For sure. And then, the thing is that once you start in one place, you just take it all over a whole bunch of with a close second of pieds for sure. But DG, and then I would say codom. If I had to work one codom, what do I want to see? I'll say blackhead. I want to see where Blackhead goes. Yeah, I want to see where Blackhead
all
goes.
right. I didn't expect that one.
Yeah, and I have so many favorites, man. And the cool thing about, and I think the reason why I enjoy doing this so much is because you can diversify, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like,
absolutely, man.
There's nothing wrong with it. Like, it's incredible. You know, all the different colors, and I mean, you have to be efficient to a point in terms of, you know, what your ratios are and what you can manage in terms of a certain project. You know,
you always have to have those main focuses, and then you can add ingredients into that main focus as time goes on.
But I think I'm comfortable with having lots of projects and starting to, you know, advance the breeding projects to a point where I get 3, 4, or 5 gene animals or what have you, and then I bottleneck. You know, then I say, okay, this is where I want to take this. You know, Will talks about all these crazy algorithms. You could work this double recessive project till you're 95 years old. Like you could, and he's right. You really could pick 2 genes.
Absolutely. And the way he explains it is perfect. He has it all drawn out and figured out.
It's beautiful. And so I'm of that mindset when I finally get something, you know, in enough of things that I'm just like, you know what? I really want to line breed and refine this project. I probably will, because I'm having a baseball background and a sports background. I'm a little bit of a stat rat. You know, I like the intricacies of things, and same with genetics. You know, I can geek out all day with genetics. You know, that's why I love listening to some of these guys in the chat, you know, talk about their projects and what have you. And, you know, I'm sure people are looking at me like, how can you listen to this stuff all day? I'm just like, it just never gets old.
Never gets old. I'm right there with you, man.
I can listen to it all day. It doesn't even matter if I've seen this video 10 times. Sometimes I'll just go back to it. You know, there's always things to learn. So
I love how I got to wrap this in, because there's something else you always say that I absolutely love. You talk about the balances of life with the snake hobby. Can you kind of, you know, I know it, but I would love everybody else out there to hear this, because I think it's important. And I just kind of want to, you know, segue into that for a moment. Can you kind of give us the rundown of, you know, exactly what I'm asking you, right?
Absolutely. You know, like balance is everything. You know, I talk about making sure you have your pillars balanced. You know, each of us represents something. It could be, you know, a parent, a grandparent, you know, an employee, you know, a snake keeper, whatever. We all represent multiple things, and just making sure that you have enough energy in all of those to achieve some sustainability. There's this whole school of thought surrounded by positive psychology. And it talks about like positive emotion. It talks about being engaged, you know, in the pillars that you have access to. It talks about maintaining relationships. It talks about having meaning in what you do. And it talks about celebrating successes, like in terms of achievement. So when you hatch a clutch, be proud of that, you know, have enough connection and engagement with your community, with your close-knit friends, with the bigger community, where you're able to share that and seek satisfaction. Because at the end of the day, it's about getting your needs satisfied. And having that mindset, when you do enough of that, you avoid issues of depression, you avoid issues of negative thinking, you avoid making poor impromptu decisions about selling animals for too cheap, for instance, because you're just so stressed out, you need to push them. You know, all these little things are taken care of when you have balance within all of those components that I talk about. And I mean, I'm actually literally I went back to school to study that, because it was so important to me in the work that I was doing. I've worked with teenage at-risk youth juveniles for 10, 11 years. Ended up running the facility for a while after being like a counselor and a coordinator. And now I work with little kids in a school district, and a lot of them are at risk. You know, they're the kids that, you know, have you know, low regulation abilities and like lots of crisis in their families. And so I really am like a crisis responder. They call me when family's in duress, or when a kid's in duress or can't handle themselves. And so I'm always finding different strategies and ways to bridge gaps and to help regulate people and to teach others how to take care of themselves. And there's nothing different about that in snakes. For me, the reptiles are my coping mechanism, because people always say, the kids go, I wonder who Mr. Black talks to when he's stressed out, you know, because I'm always helping them. For me, you know, my family is super important. You know, you're always going to see, you know, remnants of them. You know, there's obviously, you know, an appropriate boundary in terms of having them on screen and what have you. But they're everything to me. You know, they're my driving force. You know, and that's kind of what makes things roll. But the animals are a close second. You know, it's my coping mechanism, cleaning, taking care of, studying. All of that just kind of takes my mind away from all of the crisis that I'm dealing with all day long.
Yeah.
People would never know that I spend 10 hours a day in literal crisis. You know, I've dealt with, you know, people that have experiences, you know, from murdering to, I mean, the most extreme to the least. And nobody would know that because of how I carry myself. And I would attribute that to having my pillars balanced and doing those things that I talk about, like literally.
See, and I love that, man, because nobody talks about that. They seem to just focus straight on the reptiles 24/7.
Yeah.
And then I see them get burnt out,
right?
You know, and it's like, you have to have that balance. And that, you know, I wanted you to talk about that, one, because everybody needs to hear that. And I think it's more important that people talk about that more.
For sure.
But also, you mentioned you like hunting and fishing.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody, I love the outdoors. Like, if I'm not online or at work, you know, like trying to show everybody love on their streams or whatnot, or their pages, right, or posting myself, I'm out in the mountains. I'm out fishing. I'm out there doing something, because you have to have that balance.
Man, Dylan, I was the kid on our box TV.
On
our box TV who ran downstairs at 4 in the morning to catch the little 1 hour to 2 hour segment of fishing that was available. You know, at that time, there was no like fishing network or nothing. Like, you had to get up first thing in the morning to watch like Bill Dance Outdoors. He was wearing the
right.
Hat, you know, and Roland Martin.
Always out for bass.
I wanted to be a professional bass fisherman when I was a little kid. And then I moved out to the Midwest, and I was like, this is a reality. There's like bass fishing high school teams, and like, it was crazy.
They really have that out there?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's
Holy
huge.
Shit.
Yeah, there's high school bass fishing teams and things like that. So, but yeah, and then the hunting, when I was in college, my college teammate told me if I went back home and got my hunter safety, that he would take me hunting. And sure enough, he did. And I've been hooked ever since, man. So, my little man's waking up. Speaking of family, can you hear him?
Yeah, just a little bit. It's all good.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not sleeping. But yeah.
So what kind of hunting do you like to do?
So for years, I hunted deer rifle season, and then I bought a bow, and then I got hooked. I started, you know, hunting archery. And so primarily I archery hunt, but my biggest passion, I was telling you about the labs earlier, is duck hunting. All right.
Okay.
This guy's not doing it. We got 4 new teeth coming in. So it's just, speaking of balance, you know, he should have waited. He should have only had 1 tooth. He didn't have the right balance.
Oh man.
He's got 4 teeth coming in, but yeah, so duck hunting probably is my biggest passion. So like, it's the same comparison to, I love all reptiles, but ball pythons are kind of the drive. I like hunting, but duck hunting is the drive, because I get to watch the dog work, you know, and I co-train some of my labs. I have a good buddy that lives pretty close to me. That's a professional trainer. And so, so one of my dogs right now is actually getting professionally trained.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah. So he'll be ready this fall. He's a fireball. They call him 2-stroke because he's just full of energy, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
are you guys fishing? Are you guys hunting from like blinds out there? Or you guys go from the boat? I know a lot of guys duck hunt from boats around here. But...
Yes. So out west, actually, my dad has a blind in Los Banos, California. So I usually head out in October and hunt with my dad. Yeah, in Los Banos, and you drive the 4-wheeler out, you walk out in the blinds. You know, that's California hunting. I tell him it's easy man hunting. But out here, where I hunt, I'm not part of a special club or anything. So a lot of it's, you know, public. I live really close between 2 really awesome public areas. And so primarily I hunt those, and there's a couple of lakes close to me that I'll duck hunt, you know, and just to get even if I like, sometimes I'm like, man, I don't want to get up at 4 a.m. and get everything set up. So I'll go, because I go more because the dog, you know, I feel bad. Like he'll be like nudging me on the arm. Like, it's time to go hunting. Like during hunting season, he knows if I wake up and I get the coffee started or what have you, you know, he's right there on my hip. He's excited. Like, I know it's duck season. It's time to go. And there's something special about that I told you. I will never, for the rest of my life, I will always have a lab. always. So
Okay.
yeah, there's a special bond. My old boss is a duck goose hunter. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for sure, but it's probably the most rewarding. So you strategize like a place, you put your decoys out, your spread, you get this whole setup, and then the sun comes up, and sometimes nothing happens, and you're like, darn. But sometimes, it's just raining ducks, And another thing is, I like to cook, so I don't just hunt, I the animals that I harvest, I clean them myself. So like I'll have the freezer full of deer meat, I'll butcher them myself. Same with the ducks, I'll make duck jerky and duck sausage and things like that. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I really love outdoors. For me, I was just a really high driven person as it goes anyways. I was collegiate shortstop. Baseball was kind of my life. I had always trained at a high level, and then that ended,
Will with his pointer talk.
Yeah. Where's the pheasants at, Will? Where's the pheasants? So yeah, I always had a high drive, to train and have purpose. And so when that stopped at 23 years old, I was like, man, what now? So I started golfing and outdoors, and that's kind of like when my adult life started, right? When people were telling you what to do and making you train, when all that ended and you had to take care of yourself and become an adult, that things got real. And so you really had to figure out, and that's why I speak so highly of balancing your pillars, because at that point in time, my world was unbalanced. It was upside down. I didn't know where I was going to invest my time and how I was going to maintain this lifestyle that I had envisioned that I wanted for myself. And so I had a lot of figuring out to do. And what I ended up doing, like most people do, is I got a job early as a youth counselor, at the juvenile facility. And I dumped myself into that place. I was there working crazy hours, just trying to save the world, at 23 years old, and I figured out real quick what work-life balance needed to be. Really quick, and nothing adversarial necessarily took place. But I didn't have a life. I was working and I was trying to attain mastery within my work. And there was nothing wrong with that because I was highly successful professionally. However, my social life was diminished, and I wasn't keeping a lot of animals at that time. I had a dog and a couple of reptiles. But so like I said, when people ask what made you start Black Sun Reptiles, I tell them every single time, it's when opportunity and time met, and the timing was right. So absolutely.
I just had to ask about that, man, because hunting's something I really want to try, but I've never actually been hunting. I do a ton of fishing, mainly freshwater. Haven't really done much saltwater at all. But hunting's something I always wanted to try. I mainly do lakes, sometimes rivers, but mainly lakes. Yeah,
nice.
I'm big on trout and kokanee, stuff like that.
Okay,
I'll occasionally, exactly.
Yeah,
dude, we got a spot up here. Every time we go, we limit out.
You troll? You troll out of a no, off the bank?
Just off the bank, man. Every time I go, I limit out on kokanee. It's my one little hidden spot.
Beautiful.
It's amazing out there, dude. Water's crystal blue. So I got to tell you this story. I felt bad last time we were there because it's mainly like a fall kind of fish. That's when we like to fish for the kokanee. If you're doing it during the summer, you have to be trolling out there. They're not.
Are they spawning in the fall? Or are they just, okay.
Even though it's mainly a false spawn, they still come in and do their thing. Okay. But summer they're hiding out there in the deeper water. You know what I mean? Just because it stays cooler out there. But no, so we were fishing from the bank, right? I'm getting this little nibbles. I'm thinking it's a baby kokanee because that's all we really catch in this, this spot, right? Dude, I freaking pull in my line. There's a salamander on my worm. Didn't swallow the hook or anything, thank God, because I was kind of tripping, but it wouldn't let go of the worm. I even docked it because it wouldn't let go of the worm. I was like, holy crap.
You should have. Boom.
Yeah, I actually have a picture of it. I'll post it later. Yeah, or send
that was the lumper of the day. That's cool.
Dude, it was the weirdest thing. I'd never in my life would imagine catching a salamander.
Yeah, no, I think having those.
Oh, you froze out.
Did I? You there?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I probably just had a moment or a lapse.
A little glitch in the system.
Yeah, all good.
yeah, I mean, having those types of hobbies and outlets are huge,
Absolutely.
I'm not telling anybody in here anything. Life's too short. You got to enjoy yourself. And you have to take care of yourself. I talk all the time about so many people that we've lost in lots of different hobbies and lots of different arenas because what burnout or whatever the case may be, not taking care of themselves.
Absolutely, man.
Life's too short. Too many great people that I've met that I would hate to see not with us. Because one, somebody didn't take the time to share some information with them, or two, nobody cared to ask, and so, if I have the time, I'll make it for people, and have conversations about things that sometimes are meaningless, and that, has served me well in my life. I've sometimes, my dad, he's been a laborer, he's a business owner, and he just has this mentality. He's just kind of short, and it's just kind of the industry that he's worked in and the way he was raised. And I kind of always looked at that like, man, it just seems like you're missing out on a lot of opportunities to have fruitful conversations because you're short, in your understanding or in your empathy. And, I really retrained myself, to be have a different approach, a
different mindset on that.
For sure. Cause I seen what that turned into, I'm just like, well, there's always a grain of truth in what somebody has to say. I always think that, and if you're not listening, you miss that grain.
Exactly.
Even if somebody's, telling you stories.
So I got to ask, obviously, you know, I'm sure your dad's going to be one of them. And we've also talked about the East Bay Vivarium a little bit. Yeah. But who were some of your mentors, I guess mainly in the reptile side of things? Who were kind of guys that helped you out and you looked up to? Yeah.
So it was a bunch of random people. There's a guy that probably doesn't even know he was this person for me, who's a local breeder named CJ.
Okay.
We don't necessarily have a bond or a connection.
Yeah.
But he's been somebody that's probably been the most prolific, successful breeder, pet store owner, community person in the area that I live in.
Yeah.
And he used to come to the facility and do shows for kids. And he actually always goes up to Tinley and visits and Vins up there every single year. And so, this October, I'm looking forward to chatting it up with him in his world,
Yeah.
When we were looking for leopard geckos and lizards and stuff, I'd be texting him when he's at Tinley, not understanding the magnitude of Tinley. And he was going to different tables and they have this, they have that, you want this? And just making time for me. And I was just, somebody
that's awesome.
Kind of knew. And so, I don't know. He's just always had a cool impact on our community, and thus I was part of it. So I would say he's a pretty neat inspiration. And then he also has some disciples, that had worked in his store and what have you that we're good friends with. That has kind of carried on the tradition, all cool stuff. But I would say, obviously, not to embarrass him, he's here tonight. Will has spent a lot of time with me. Making sure that I had my needs met or my questions answered, to it in a way that is autonomy supportive. That's something that people need to understand. He created a relationship with me that allowed me to do me under the umbrella of having the knowledge and making a educated decision. And I'm talking about tough stuff, not just about should I pair this to pair this. I'm asking tough questions, and he's making the time. So, I do, like I said,
hey, I'm going to be able to hear you. I'm going to mute this and throw you on full screen for a second. I have a thermostat beeping behind me. If you don't mind me taking care of that real quick.
Yeah. So super appreciative of the relationship I established with Will. And then I don't know, there's been lots of guys, that have made time. I think the one thing that I'm ultra impressed about this community is that lots of people will make time for you if you just ask the question. I see a lot of guys making the mistake of, hey, this person's too big, or the opposite. Maybe they're badgering somebody or not being patient or not waiting, and not respecting that person's privacy and taking it personal. So there's balance in, with how you're making your connections with people. What I have found is when I've reached out to people, and I've presented myself in a manner that I'm interested and have respect for them, people have made time for me. And I was just like any other average Joe. Yes, I've been keeping animals, and yes, I've loved reptiles for 25 plus years. But in terms of breeding, I was as novice as the next person. When it came to knowing genetics, knowing, the ins and outs, I'm learning just like everybody else. And so there was lots of questions that came up. I had a gentleman talking to me today, just sending me messages, asking me questions, and I was happy to help because guess what? 10 other guys had been that person for me.
I'm honestly glad you said that, because Will was kind of the same way with me, and I'll be straight up honest, and I don't mean to, like you said, embarrass him or anything, but I'll just be straight up honest. I was kind of shy to hit him up at first.
Right.
Because I was like, well, he's got all this cool ass shit going on. I'm just some Joe Schmo. I've never bought an animal from him. I've never talked to him. I just like his shit on Instagram. Like, I'm just some fucking dude. But he was one of the nicest guys who was willing to answer all my questions, took the time out, never made me feel like I was bugging him or anything like that, And those are the guys you want to learn from.
He's special for sure. He's definitely a pillar in this community. He's up there in the Rushmores for me. So,
sorry about that, by the way. It's been a scorcher here today. So
yeah, man, you're dealing with
trying to keep the room.
I'm dealing with, fevers and mold and teeth coming in. You're dealing with a heat wave. So we both got our hands full for sure.
Right. So, hey, let me segue this into our, the next conversation I kind of like to ask everybody, but 5-year goals. I know you're a man like me and you like to plan ahead. So what are your 5-year goals with this? Yeah.
So 5 years from now, I want to be fully operational, and start having people recognize Black Sun Reptiles as a business more than a hobbyist venture. Yeah. And so with that comes, the infrastructure, the building, the collection, having professional equipment, and just really dialing things in, and marketing myself in a manner that's representative of me and my thoughts, because I think people know the brand, but they don't know me, and they don't know what I represent. And like Will, I want my personality and my care and concern for people and these animals to be synonymous with my name, with BSR, and so hopefully within 5 years, with visiting with people and connecting and, getting out and about, I want to visit other people's collections. I want to spend the time, in other countries and other places, and invite people here. I always had a hard time accepting as a California kid that I'm now like a Missouri kid, but I am, and I'm actually, very proud of, the man that I've become in a different state, because I've created my own successes. And yes, there's been lots of mentors and lots of support through the way. But it's cool to, start over in a new place and kind of, build your own empire, so to speak.
Oh, for sure, man. No, that's awesome goals too, and that's honestly part of the reason I wanted to bring you on is I've seen that from you. And that's one thing I love about people is I don't just care about the snakes. I want to know the person. What is this person like? You can have the best, coolest shit in the world and honestly be a piece of shit human being. I mean, let's just be honest here. For sure. But yourself, you're very well balanced. I love that. You even talk about being balanced, and just what you show and what you're producing is absolutely amazing, man.
Appreciate that.
And when did you start breeding overall?
So when we decided to breed ball pythons, I think 2017.
Okay, so 2017. Yeah. So we're what, 4 years in?
Yeah.
That's right about the exact same time frame I got in.
Yep.
That's amazing growth.
And it was just a couple clutches a year the first 2 years, and then we did 6 last year, and then now we're 18. So we're growing, and I had bred lots of clutches of leopard geckos probably 3 years before that.
And what do you think your max number is going to be like with the balls? Is there a number where you're kind of plan on capping at? Yeah,
when I have the space, I think I would like to be under 100 clutches.
Okay.
I think 50. I'm still working full time, so just realistically, 25 to 50 just to start.
Yeah.
If everything is in place, and I'm not in a hurry.
Yeah.
This will be my first year of going through every single aspect of, breeding this many animals, holding back, making decisions, IDing, selling, etc. So I have a good gauge of what I think I can handle and still maintain the quality of life that I want to. And things change, especially with families. People go through transitions, they get married, they have kids, your kids go to college, what have you. And so I'm always going to make it to a point where it's less about volume, more about quality, and that quality 100%. Is going to be directly connected to balance of life for me. So if I can do
that's 40, a great answer, man.
If I can do 20, 25 just outstanding clutches a year, great. Great. If they're just top tier and I've gotten to that point where that's all I need to do or want to do, great. So I don't think I necessarily have a number. But yeah, I mean, I'm prepared mentally, to take on a large volume.
Yeah.
But physically we got to get there, right? We got to get the property right and get all that stuff. And that takes time.
Absolutely.
No hurry for sure.
No, those are good goals. And that's a good number too. Kind of the one kind of that 20 to 50, like you were saying, is your estimated number. That's actually exactly what I was thinking for myself. Cause I, for the most part, still work full time. We've been on furlough due to COVID, but I actually go back to work in a month. So be right back to it, Yeah. But it's the same thing. You got to be able to find that balance. You don't want to overwork yourself. And
exactly,
like you said, quality is everything. Well, and you can pump out normals and pieds all day, but I mean, that's going to get, I don't know about you, that'd be boring to me after a while.
Well, and
I want to see different stuff.
More so that my concern is the customer service.
Yeah.
When you get an animal from me, I'm going to handwrite you a note. Like you're getting like all my BS. I'm taking the time to hand. Like, that's something that I like to do, and handwriting 100 ball python clutches, I'm going to get a cramp or carpal tunnel, so, making sure that the quality of service matches the quality of the animals is equally as important, and that's one thing, I know Will, as a mentor has not only valued himself, but modeled for all of us, it's just the quality of service and the quality of taking care of people, regardless if he's balancing you as a friend or a customer or both, just that if that ever diminishes, I know that I need to do some reflecting and get some things organized in my own world.
Absolutely.
Because I don't want to do things, half-heartedly, and I don't want people to get products from me and or this brand that aren't representative of my standards for myself. So that's amazing, man. Because I don't know about you, but I've personally had experiences where I bought snakes, and the people I bought them from, it's like as soon as the money's in their hand and the snake arrives, that's it. You'll never hear from them again. Yep. If you have questions, nope, you're left on read. Yep. So and people like it that, man. Yeah, people like it that way. Man, I hate it. I'm with you. You buy a snake from me, I'm there to help you. I want to see that snake breeding in a couple of years. I want to see what you do with it. Hit me up when you got a baby side D. Yeah. Even if it's a hooray, congratulations, whatever, this is a relationship. Exactly. For sure. And if you don't want it, then you don't have to access it, but it's here if you do, Yep. Exactly. So, most anticipated clutch of the season. Yeah, you already know. So, I already know. Yeah, I gotta ask. Killer highway pied to a highway het pied cooking right now. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I hope you guys all heard that out there. Yeah, we're looking for some, pastel super gravel pieds, highway pieds, all that stuff. So we produced already, I think 10. Can't remember. But anyways, a large clutch already of a bunch of ivory het pieds that we have on the ground. Killer ivory het pieds and highway. I have two highway het pieds and a highway and a pastel highway het pied. Oh, you hit the killer highway het pieds. Yeah, you haven't seen those. Damn, bro. Yeah, and it's a female. And female? Yeah. Oh shit. and she's eating often.
Damn.
Yeah, so that's been good. So I have the infrastructure for that project moving forward, which is good.
Yeah.
So and to be honest with you, some of you gravel guys, I probably will release,
amazing, man.
because I had so many of them. I probably will release some of those animals, just because I don't need all the hets. But I gotta wait for this other clutch to hatch first, and then I'll post some stuff. And that's kind of my quandary right now. People have been hitting me up like, "Yo, what's up with your morph market? There's no animals." I'm like, I'm evaluating.
Right.
I'm evaluating.
I don't know what I want yet.
Yeah. Well, I do know what I want. I just don't know if it's coming. So so
you let any of those highway het pieds go, you better be hitting me up, brother.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. No, I'll let you know. I have some animals, maybe less sought after, that I'll get posted quick, but some of the big stuff, in the next month or so, be looking out for that. That should be coming. So should be good.
Oh yeah, and I'll by the way, you guys, all of Rodney's information is in the description down below. So if you guys want to go check that out, make sure you guys go give him a follow. I can't even cover half of the crazy stuff that Rodney's got. I mean, you got some crazy projects in the works, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. When's the last time you heard about killer gravel pieds? Let's be honest, everybody in the chat. Tell me who else you know who's working killer gravel pieds right now. I'll wait.
I know David from Scales from the Crypt.
Scales from the Crypt. Yep.
Yeah, I know somebody that we associate with closely. I think he's in that project pretty deep, and there's a handful of guys, but.
But what I mean by that is there's not many. Like, it's not something you see every day, and
for sure,
everybody here, at least everybody who's how should I put this, here every weekend in the chat, they all know I love my gravel stuff. So
holy
shit, killer gravel pieds, man. And taking that, I mean, take that even further, add Enchi or Leopard or anything like that.
Yeah,
that's
all that's coming. I got a ton of Enchi stuff right now. That was a priority for me this year.
Yeah.
Enchi, pinstripe, and leopard stuff. All stuff that goes good in the yellow belly complex. I got all that cooking. I love all that stuff. And pieds. Enchi pin pieds, Enchi blackhead pin pied stuff. Like that's my direction. So
I didn't know you had blackhead pied stuff going already.
Yeah, that's gonna be the avenue. So
you're working on hets this year or visuals or what?
Yeah, so just holding back some hets, and then we'll get moving on that. But yeah, so it's a little bit out. So, but those are the directions.
Yeah,
those are the directions. But yeah, it'll be cool. 2-3 years from now. I mean, and who knows? It might not even be relevant stuff, but it will be for me. And so that'll be good.
Hey, that's what matters, man. And it's kind of interesting seeing the directions everybody takes stuff. Right. That's one thing I love so much about the the community we have is I can look around. And I see everybody has a different direction, even if they have similar animals. If you actually talk to the people and ask them, your vision is totally different than so-and-so's, but you guys are both working with blackhead pied. But what you might want to do with blackhead pied is completely fucking different than what Joe wants to do with a blackhead pied.
Right.
And I'm just sitting here like, man, I can't wait for you guys all to hatch this shit so I can look at it.
Yeah, I do have a little bit of a quandary with this het pied that I bred this year. Everything that I produced was high pattern, low white pieds, which would be an indication that there's some Enchi in it, but she doesn't look Enchi. She looks different than just a normal. Yeah. And I knew that from the jump. She almost has like some bandings, like the old banded that was floating around years ago. I think they're called banded.
Genetic bandits.
Yeah, I think she looks like that a little bit, with some weird. And I don't know, she got to size fast. She's a great animal. And then I ran her to the banana pied het ghost that I have that I bred prior, and these animals all came out low white, high pattern, all of them, the bananas and all the female pieds that came out.
That was the last pied or banana pied clutch, right?
Yep. And not one of them has 50-50 or high white. And that's unique.
I noticed that. I was looking at that like, you posted the picture of the two sisters. I was like, they are strikingly similar for,
there's four of them. There's four sisters.
All low white like that, right?
They all look the same. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're all low white, but they do. Yeah. The patterns vary a little bit. Some are a little bit more striped. Some are a little bit more variant, like blown up.
So
And
do
then
you
there was,
prefer a
and then
low white pied, or do you
I
like high
I
whites?
like them all. I like
You
them all.
like them all?
Yeah, yeah. I
Fair
don't.
enough. Fair enough.
I know people like low white pieds, so I'll produce them. But
Yeah. You're like, I
like
don't discriminate. I like them all.
I like them all, man. I think it's just the most striking, you know, awe effect. I had lots of people that don't even know about the hobby texting me about those pieds. They're like, does it like a friend from work? If you go on the IG thread, she's
Yeah.
like, hey, I know this is a noob question, but do they stay like that? And I was like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, the white stays like that. You know, they might, you know, lose some vibrance or what have you over the years, but
Yep.
yeah, the white stays like that. That's a real thing, you know.
Right.
And I
Dude,
just,
could you imagine if balls were like green trees where they shed and change color as they aged?
it would be insane. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It would
With all
be
the genes we have, we'd never know what was what.
No, and you had to wait 3 years.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm out. I'm doing something else. King
That'd
Snake.
be insane. Hey, by the way, everybody who's still in the chat, if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them out there. I'm sorry if I missed some of your guys' chats. I'm trying to keep up with it, but also be involved in this conversation. But if you guys have questions, feel free to throw them up there. I'll get them answered,
Dylan,
hopefully.
I can't see who's in here, so if somebody wants to, I would typically call them out, but if somebody wants to throw some questions out, please do so.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I mentioned it. I'm like,
I know
these
some of
popping if you guys got them.
Some of these East Coast guys are probably getting sleepy. So if you want anything to say, then yeah, do
Right.
it now.
That's why I figured, and I know you got the baby in the background. So
no, we're good. I think he's down. So yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, we're good. I'm here for you, man. So I have time.
Perfect.
Yep.
Man, so how do I word this? What do you think about like the whole stranger mahogany thing with that Suma? Like that picture that was posted the other day. I'm kind of curious just your thoughts on it.
Just as an onlooker, I have neither. I don't have stranger or mahogany.
See, that's where I'm at, but I have this weird feeling that I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts on it first.
Yeah, if I had the money, I would invest in stranger even before it was revealed.
Yep.
I would have, because I like what it does. I've seen lots of animals that look the same, but that's the same for me. Like people talk about chocolate and Wookiee. I like what Wookiee does. People talk about, it goes back to Mojave Mystic. It goes back to Black Pastel Cinnamon. All these very similar allelic. I mean, your eye is going to tell you what you like. And it doesn't mean that the other person's animal is lesser or less adequate. It's just what you like. I like what stranger does, in animals. And I also, a mahogany clown's a beautiful animal.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're good on either way. Now, I think what people get a little bit, razzed about is the price difference.
The price difference.
Yeah. When you start talking about somebody's pocketbook and an investment, there's a little bit more emotion tied to that. And I understand that.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen a kind of a recent thing in berms that's fairly similar with, that whole price point and everything. So
okay.
I get that. And, I'm not involved with either or as far as stranger or mahogany. I don't have either one. I've looked at them both. But just seeing that animal the other day, I couldn't help but to think that maybe it's a Suma visual. And that's what's adding that extra pattern in there.
Okay.
Not saying they are the same. I have no idea.
Right.
I'm not invested in either or. It would suck for those who invested a shitload, and it would benefit, I guess, the guys who didn't. But I don't know, man. I'm curious to see that thing age.
I did just out of curiosity jump on Morph Market and type in stranger, and every available animal says inquire. There's a couple on there, maybe like 13 grand or whatever.
Oh,
95% of them said inquire, and I was like, I bet you did say inquire.
Yep.
Yeah, I would.
Oh, Dorian just said it right there.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to buy the dip on stranger.
Right.
Oh, geez. Now, I had to ask, man. I'm just kind of curious about that because
just
it's something I don't work with at all, and I know you didn't either. So it's, I don't know. I like
if somebody gave me a 1.3 of mahogany, I'd work it.
Right.
Period. I would work it. I think it does cool stuff. I like the dark side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you had to pick your favorite darkening gene, what would it be?
Other than blackhead, yeah, cypress.
Cypress.
No, they
Yep.
do both. It lightens too. Let's see. What am I forgetting? I don't know. Wookiee lightens too, but it's a darkening gene.
Okay. I'm not very familiar with Wookiee.
Yeah, no, I invested in some Wookiee this year.
Okay.
I'm excited about that too. I bought a male, so I really liked it actually. So
Yep.
I'm looking. Leopard's cool, definitely.
Yep.
GHI's cool.
Can't go wrong there.
Yeah, I think GHI is an untapped project too. You know,
Okay.
in terms of, a lot of people don't have a ton of different variations of GHI. We still don't even know if it's allelic or not. Obvious from earlier's conversation.
Yep.
You know, so I think
so that conversation was also going on in like my personal Discord, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Every freaking chapter, everywhere I looked, everybody was, "Is GHI, allelic with Mojave?"
Right.
Like,
well, and here's my thing: I have a girl, sitting at 1,500 grams of GHI Mojave now, and I'm wondering what direction I'm going to go. So this information is pretty. Unlike the Mahogany Stranger, the GHI conversation is relevant to me.
Right.
It's going to dictate what decisions I make moving forward.
Hey, well, hopefully we'll know here in about 60 days or so.
Hey, amen. Absolutely. I'm excited for you. That's good.
I'm kind of curious, man, because I don't know. I could have swore I've seen clutches in the past. I actually need to go look after this. But I could have swore I've seen clutches where people had a GHI Mojave on one side, no GHI Mojave on the other side of the pairing, and produced GHI Mojave combos.
Right.
I could swear I've seen that before. So,
yeah. I mean, Brian, out of the egg, said he had GHI Mojaves in there, banana GHI Mojave. So
yeah, but he had GHI on the other side of the pairing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that would make sense. But
right.
Also, you'll know if somebody has a GHI Mojave pairing and they hit a normal. That'll also tell us if they're allelic too.
That's the tell.
Even if they don't hit the GHI Mojave, if they hit a normal, well, it's all out the window at that point.
You shouldn't have any normals, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. What is that, GHI? Okay. Yeah, I'm hoping to learn more about that. But yeah,
Dorian got some.
He sent me a proposal. He's hype on the Cypress stuff. So,
yep,
he's liking the Cypress stuff, and I am too. Like I said, there's a vibrance, an effect to Cypress that people don't talk about. That I'm seeing in all these animals. And once I get this third clutch and it crawls out, I'll be able to 100% verify that. But in almost every animal that is confirmed Cypress, there's a sheen, a vibrance. I don't know. It's like an HDing effect. Those animals are bright, and it might just be because it's Cypress and yellow belly too.
Okay. So is it just like a? I'm trying to like picture this whole HD effect. Is it just pop?
Okay. When you have a DG that shed like 4 or 5 times, it's aged a little bit, and it just starts to pop.
I mean, I don't personally, but yes.
Or lace. Yeah. Like and a lace animals just pop. Similar to that. There's some pop in it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Milano gene I'm working with.
There you go.
It makes the animal just intense.
Yep. Yeah. It's pretty cool. So,
man, I really need to jump on that. I don't know. I've just been slacking. I keep looking at the combos, and I just don't know how I would fit it in right into my collection.
Well, so many people either want to throw it into like a 5-gene clown, or all.
See, and that's the thing is I don't want to just do that. I'm trying to think like I want to see some more combos before I'm like, okay, well I can work that. I like that combination. I can work that into my current
I can
stuff.
tell you after a lot of research, I'm not saying that I made the first ones, but I've seen very few animals like the ones I produced. Very few. Yeah. I hardly seen any that had like that graying coming up over the dorsal. Like I started to see it in some animals, but not any that came all the way over like the animals that I produced. So that's intriguing to me.
That's what drew my eyes to that clutch in particular, and why I wanted to pop it up is because I'm like, I've been I'm not going to say I'm some Cypress expert. I've just been paying attention to the stuff I see posted,
it's
with
a
Cypress.
Development, man.
And those, they stood out to me.
Yeah. It's a development. I didn't expect that either. And so Yeah, and then like I said, I went down a rabbit hole in terms of researching it because I didn't want to say that it was something that it's not,
Yep.
out of responsibility, for working with those genetics. And after countless conversations and countless research, it ended up being that. And I was like, wow. And the tails are there. The blue eye has to be Mystic or Mojave. Has to be. And then I seen a Pastavi that had pastel in it that started getting the creepy grays on the belly, but it didn't go over the dorsal. And then the yellow belly. So whatever it is about those 4 interactions made the gray come all the way over in 2 animals, which is cool. And then, and not only that, the blacks are black and the yellows are yellow.
I was just about to say that. I was just going to say,
because of the pastel and the yellow belly. And the cypress does that too. It maintains the contrast that is just so incredible. And for me, contrast is where it's at.
Hell yeah.
That's why I like Wookiee. I think Wookiee does a lot of what cypress does, to be honest. And we're only going to see more cool stuff out of it. And you can lean over here for the non-clown Wookiee because I'll probably be going into a different direction with Wookiee.
DG all the way, I'm assuming.
It'll be in there, but I'm sure we'll have some DG Wookiee stuff well in advance that we can drool over for a little bit, and then I can figure out what I want to do with it after.
Yeah, you'll be all right, though, because you'll hold everything back.
Oh, it's good. Hey, what does that look like? Yeah, I'll go this direction. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's good.
Oh, man. All right, so one of my favorite questions to ask people is, if you could work with any species you don't have, what would it be? In this, not including your current finances, space, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like if you could just
space and everything.
Yeah, if you had the space, the time, the money to deal with it, what would you work with? It doesn't necessarily have to be reptile. We mainly do reptiles, but in one of my last streams at the Breeder Barbecue, they threw that out the window. So
yeah, that was cool. That was a cool episode.
Did you catch that one?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I seen you had Tyler on there. I picked up some animals from him. He's a cool dude. I've chopped it up with him. He's a heck of a dude. But yeah, so I actually watched it for you, but then I know that you were going to have him on, so I was listening to some guys and I fast forwarded to his and watched it. So
Nice.
It was good. But yeah, anything that the real generic answer for me is that I love lions, man. Like big cats. That would be cool. I think that would be cool, but I wouldn't do it because I'm not crazy. So I feel like to have big cats.
I wouldn't do it because I'm not crazy.
Don't
need Carol Baskin knocking at your
It's
door.
only a matter of time before your arm turns into the steak, right? Just game over.
Oh, geez.
I would say
that is not what I expected, man. Lions.
Yeah, they would be cool. Like big cats are intriguing. My brother really likes big cats. That's something that he's always talked about doing.
Yeah.
When I talked previously, I know, that you were visiting with me yesterday a little bit about working at a zoo, and this guy had a bunch of big cats and they were just breathtaking, man. He had a liger, and I mean, when they talk and interact and you hear the roar, and I mean, it's second to none. It's second to none. So yeah, like a big cat like that would be cool. But it would have to be something exotic, like an exotic animal that you maybe even can't even get in the States. Yeah. Something in African plains, man. I don't know. I just have a tie to that. Lion King was like my favorite movie when I was a little kid. I just like the African plains animals, bamboo. Rhinos and giraffes. That stuff to me is really cool.
Yeah.
Cobras. So, but yeah, it would probably be a big cat. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind. But I really, really like basin emerald tree boas.
Emerald basins?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're sick. Like that to me.
Yeah.
Is, I mean, just a picturesque animal.
Absolutely,
I just helped a vet friend. She moved back home to North Carolina, move her whole collection. She's a boa breeder.
Okay.
And she picked up some emeralds in a basin and then some green trees, and she had them. And so when we were moving them, I was just like, can I just look at those again? Like, they're just so majestic. She has all this IMG stuff and Harlequin and Motley and crazy boas everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are like trying to hiss at me for 5 minutes, trying to bite my face off, which is cool too. Like I was like, man, he's got an attitude. You just don't get that as much with the ball python. So it's neat to just see She's like, yeah, they vary. You know, some of them were puppy dog. I was holding a couple of her boas and they were puppy dog. But she's like, you know what? She told me that male, probably like Puzzle, passes on the attitude. She said, and then she showed me all the babies from the litter that she had, and they all had attitudes. They're all hissing. I was like, that's crazy.
Oh,
you literally bred attitude into these animals. That's
Hey, I'm a firm believer of that, man, especially in the large constrictors. You know, there's a reason we're seeing as captive breeding goes on, calmer and calmer animals.
For sure. So how many generations have they been captive bred is probably going to be indicative of that response.
Yeah, exactly. Their disposition overall,
That's
you know.
cool.
I mean, if you go back even 20 years and look at some of the wild-caught retics, they were no joke. Even a wild-caught berm, no joke. But you go to some of the captive stuff now, you know, we're a lot further with that in ball pythons, but I 100%, you know, agree with that in a number of species. You know, the monitors, the chondros, and stuff that people are working with.
Dude, I remember that same guy. I told you he was kind of an inspiration to me when I was younger. He had a bunch of monitors, man. Nile, bunch of different monitors. And dude, every time he went to go handle them, they were just neurotic, dude. Just whipping everywhere. Like I'm watching them, and then, you know, then I'm seeing guys now, you know, Kevin McCurley's over here just
chilling with the crocodile monitor.
I'm like, look where these things have come. Hey, Mindy, absolutely. I was going to say there was actually a lion sanctuary in Columbia, Missouri, here in central Missouri, that Joe Exotic, it's on a YouTube. It was on the news and stuff, came to visit back in the day. And it was right here. Like you could hear the lions roaring. It's about, 10 miles from my house.
Oh, damn.
But yeah, I think it shut down.
Eric just proved my point even more right here. I'm assuming he meant wild. That wild-caught berm I have compared to my captive are crazy. Yeah, man. Crazy. I know another one of my buddies has a wild-caught, and it's just the comparison is crazy different.
I know that your viewers probably already know this animal, but one animal that just blows my mind that you have is that striped white berm. I don't even know what it is.
Oh,
what is that thing?
My hypolabyrinth, I'm assuming.
Dude,
is that what it is? Or is it the one that's white and splotched?
No, it's striped. Labyrinth.
Striped. Oh yeah, hypolabyrinth. Yeah,
it's insane. Is that a fancy animal?
So it's not like an extremely expensive animal. They they range between like $2,000 and $3,000. So I guess that's pricey for a good amount of people. Yeah, nice. You know what I mean? Right. But the thing that stood out is, and I challenge a lot of guys in the comments already know, but I challenge you to go find me another hypolabyrinth that doesn't belong to Aaron that looks as good as that boy.
Dude, that thing's special. Yeah. You know, you see animals all day. You know, we're so desensitized to beautiful animals anymore. And that's another thing I work truly hard on. Like, don't get caught up in pictures, ask more questions, get different pictures, just because I know that photography is important, you know.
Yeah,
I reached out
suck at it, but yeah.
I reached out to Brittany Gobble this year and to Justin and asked questions about like what's best practices. You know, and part of my infrastructure, facelift was getting better LED lighting, getting better camera equipment. And I really some of the images that you're seeing now have been 10 times better than when I first started because I'm using professional equipment. And I'm setting up lighting. Like when I changed the lights in my snake room, like these yellow 40-watt bulbs that I was taking pictures under with the camera, to these LEDs with a mirrorless camera and the right lens. And it's night and day. Because I kept seeing like JKR's videos and we all watch it.
Yeah.
And Brittany, she's a fabulous photographer and all these people. Yeah. And I'm like, all these animals are incredible. And why? One, they're being represented the right way because the equipment is telling the story the right way.
Yep.
And that's what people don't understand. Like, your equipment is going to tell
the story. It's so hard to capture that sometimes. I know exactly what you mean. Like, we switched all of our lights in here. I don't know if you guys kind of see these strip lights sometimes, but they're actually all LED strip lights. Mm-hmm. And I did that because the other lighting would just do that kind of glare. You know what I mean? That line effect.
Yep.
Those went off early.
That's weird. Right on cue.
They're all on a timer. I didn't think we were at that time yet. Oh, I guess. Still a little early. That's kind of weird. They went off 20 minutes early.
It's okay. You look good.
Well, that's better. That's better.
Right.
I actually don't look as washed out now.
Right.
But yeah, so, it was kind of interesting switching just to that kind of increased my photos, and then slowly I've been doing the same thing, trying to work on the photography aspect and actually exposure rate and making sure, the right part of the animal's in focus,
There you go.
Because you see a lot of that out there. People just snap a quick picture. It's not even in focus and they upload it and put 50 tags on it. And you're like, but I can't really see the animal.
and I'm guilty, man.
Yeah,
to be honest,
I can't say I haven't done it either. Yeah,
when I started keeping animals, I never did. I think that I was going to have to be a video editor, a photographer, all the hats that we wear to breed these animals. It's insane. Yep. I wasn't even on IG like that ever.
Yeah, right.
Ever. Social media wasn't even a thing. Now we have a TikTok. What's even happening? What's even happening?
I can't get down with the whole TikTok, man.
I couldn't.
I've already reached that balance in my life, and honestly, I've kind of stepped back a little bit from the vlogs on YouTube. Good. I know a lot of you guys have noticed, and don't get me wrong, I love doing it. I love editing them, but I just we were talking about, I had to find that balance, and I think these live streams with the occasional video is my balance. I don't want to just push out content to push out content. You know what I mean? I'd rather focus on one thing. So I've been focusing on doing my Instagram and actually uploading every day and consistently and, posting stories. And so I completely get that, man. But that Hypo Lab, just like you were talking about, one, thank you.
Yeah.
He is one that is so hard to capture on camera. His true colors.
I'm sure. That's what I was wondering. I was like, it stops me in my tracks with the, the little bit that you're even able to capture. It's just an incredible animal. That thing in real life, I bet, is just.
Thank you, man. He really is. He's so on the camera. Those tones come out a lot more tan than they really are. That upper dorsal color, not the darker striping, but the actual, Do you have a picture of it that you could throw up here? I don't have. I can just grab him if you want me to, but I mean, this is about you, not me.
Oh, you're good. I do love that animal, though. So yeah, you don't have to grab him. It's okay.
No, he's really awesome, and thank you, man. But yeah, he's one of those you can't capture the color. The color on the top of his dorsal where it shows up tan is more like a beige. Okay, it's like a really, really, really light, tan. It's not that dark military tan like it comes out in the pictures.
Yeah, it's insane.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That's one. I actually I bought that animal before it hatched.
Did you?
Yeah, I legit did. I knew my buddy was going to have them. I'm like, hey, look, I'm going to send you this money now. I want to be the first person who picks before anybody else. Obviously, you guys get your holdbacks, but after that,
give me.
I want it. I want the next animal. So
that's like the dog world.
Yep. Well, ones like that aren't easy to come by, just to be honest.
No.
You could search 100 Hypo Labs, and it's not going to look like him.
Yeah, I always wanted to know the story because that animal just struck me. I've never seen one like it before, and even if I did, I don't know if it was as beautiful as yours. So it was cool.
Thank you, man. Thank you. You want to know what's actually funny about this? I'll tell you the full side of the story because it's a quick one. But I was actually supposed to be a female.
Okay.
But they had only hit one female out of the whole clutch, and that was his goal, was to hold it back. But I had already prepaid for it, and so being the good buddy, he still offered me his holdback Hypo Lab female.
Oh,
and I was like,
that's cool.
I was like, but he had been doing, he'd been trying to get that girl for 2-3 years now, and I was like, no, I can't do that, man. I'll take the male. And so he gave me his holdback male, and that's how I have that male. And then I also ended up getting a female lab from him as well, just to also have that, lab in the project. But yeah,
that's cool.
How many I ended up with his holdback.
How many eggs?
Oh man,
tons.
Average clutches are between 30 and 60.
Like retics?
Yeah, huge clutches.
Nice.
That's why I kind of laugh when people tell me they're overwhelmed and they had 10 clutches. No offense to anybody out there. If that's your thing. And anybody in the comments, don't take offense to that. I find it kind of funny when they're like, I got overwhelmed. Yeah, I'm like, that's 1.5 good clutches. You got to get those numbers up, son. No, I'm joking. Actually, that's kind of my thing too. Is I don't want to be a big breeder with those. I'm very picky with what I want to breed. I breed them and I'm gonna continue to breed them, but it's got to be picky. All those big snakes out there, big snake guys out there mass producing shit, it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
My key is to find good homes for these animals.
Yeah, I was like,
I love them. I can handle them and be responsible with them. But if I'm going to breed them and produce, 60 to 100 of them a year,
yeah,
obviously I can't guarantee all 100 go to a perfect home forever and that's their full life home, right? But I can do my best to make sure that 80+% of those animals go to their forever homes. And that's the best any of us can do, no matter the species,
That's huge. That's cool. Would you ever keep an anaconda?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, that's one I'll be adding before the end of the year, man.
Okay, they're cool. Yeah.
Do you like the greens or the yellows?
The yellows are smaller, right?
Yeah, the yellows are smaller.
Yeah. They're both cool.
But they're more feisty.
The green anaconda is just legendary. So
yeah, the greens are my favorite, man. I've never been a fan of the yellows, to be honest with you. I know they look cool, but part of my thing is I like the size that attracts me to the snake,
Yeah,
and plus
like getting
just
a
their
bobcat
temperament.
instead of a lion, right?
Yeah. Dude, although I'm not gonna lie. When you answered that and you said lion, I was like, holy shit, because I don't even trust my girlfriend's cat, let alone a fucking lion. I'd be like, nope. I mean, I'll enjoy it, but nope.
Man, a male lion, dude. I mean, and if all things worked out, like, let's just leave reality for a second and just like to have a pet lion, it'd just be crazy.
Dude, yeah, it would. I mean, I guess I can't say anything because one of my biggest things is dwarf hippos.
Oh yeah. Most dangerous animal in the world?
Dude, no, but a pygmy. Have you seen the pygmy hippos?
No, I haven't.
They're actually built different, man. So they stay smaller. Right. They're about half the size of a typical hippo, if not a little bit smaller. For instance, a full-grown adult would only be about as tall as like your lower ribs.
Okay.
That's about as big as they get, right? So they're not that huge. They don't have the, huge gnarly tusks and everything. And dude, they're amazing. But come on, tell me this though. If you had your property, right, and you had a moat going across the front with pygmy hippos, who the hell is gonna fuck with you ever?
Nobody's coming by those hippos, bro.
Nobody.
Yeah. Nobody's coming by those hippos.
No solicitors, nothing. You know what I mean? So I always had that thought, like,
do you keep big lizards? Mo in the chat, he said savannas. I had one. I had a savanna when I was younger for a while.
Oh, there's a savanna right there.
That's a big savanna cage?
Yep. 8x4x4. Actually, recently found out after all these years it's a female.
Oh, really?
It was my dude Luda for years. Everybody knows I've talked about Luda. Luda's my dude. Well, Luda's a Luna. So found an infertile egg in there the other day. Actually, that's something I was talking to a few people about doing. A joint breeding loan project, kind of. Okay. So I'm trying to find the right person to send her off to. But I'm going to be really picky on that one. But you don't see captive bred savannas. They're imported. I was going to say,
have savannas advanced in their coloration? Like the purples on their back, have they gotten like more yellow or purple? When they're babies, they're pretty colorful, but then they
So the very few captive bred animals have looked absolutely amazing. I don't know if that just has to do with like maybe how they were incubated or etc. Right. But not really, to be honest with you. I mean, we've seen the one albino or the two albinos now.
Two albino savannas.
But other than that, it's it's pretty standard, just variation and stuff. But my thing with it is they import them by the thousands every year, and 99% of them die. And so it'd be nice to see captive bred animals that maybe bring a value back to the Savannah Monitor, and we can stop importing them, which is more important. I could care less about the value, but what I would just like to see is U.S. captive bred and born babies. For sure. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Well, they take people to understand.
They definitely take some training, and a lot of handling, and so I think people get overwhelmed by that.
Oh, even my dude, he'll still bite your hand off, or girl. I'm always gonna say my dude because I've had him for years.
When we added more racks, I had to sell my blue tegu that I got in.
Oh man,
and that stunk. But we just had to make a decision. I mean, he was a lot of work, and so I just couldn't. And he took a lot of space, so that stunk. We really consolidated everything to that group of leopard geckos that we had, and then balls. I mean, that was just some intentionality. And because there's beyond, any like hobbyist business mentality, there's a connection with my kid. They love these animals, so they don't want to see anything leave.
Right.
ever.
Yeah.
Hatchlings or anything, So
Right. You want them to be able to be older and come back home and see the animals they grew up with.
Yeah. And so part of that is a teaching opportunity too, and talking about
Thanks,
that.
Tom.
Dude wouldn't do it. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so when we got rid of him, that was a little bit tough to make that adjustment. But yeah, anytime, you have to transition. Is Shane still here?
Yeah, he just commented. I thought he disappeared a long time ago.
I said, hey, Shane, if you get here, I'm just going to need the Shane sign. Like, let me know because I can't see if anybody's in. So I appreciate that.
Thanks for jumping on, Shane, and everybody who's still in here.
Yeah.
I mean, we're almost 2 hours in already. Holy shit.
We're rolling.
Yeah.
It's good.
So, yeah, it's kind of a weird segue into the Savannah, but yeah, we do have that one Savannah. I got rid of my other monitor, though, so just the Savannah now. How'd you like owning the Tegu, man?
I loved it.
They're one that I've wanted. I've looked into it, and I really love the red Tegus, the high reds.
I had a high blue, like the very white.
Okay.
Blue, yeah, and I waited, and I picked one that's animals that had been line bred for years out of Florida.
Yeah.
And I waited and waited and waited, had a deposit on it, just like you were talking about. And then when they hatched, we got him just as a little green hatchling, and he transformed into this beautiful high white animal.
That's awesome.
Because another thing, we used to drive to this pet store, and take tours of the pet stores because there was no shows that I was aware of. When I was a teenager, I hauled my little brother around, like we were watching Animal Planet, whatever, and then on the weekends or whenever we could get away, my Chevy Nova, I'm putting around, taking them to different pet stores. And we knew the feeding schedule. And one of our favorite things to watch was this pet store had a bunch of Argentine Tegus, and they would feed them. And I was like, this is a living Jurassic Park. And then they had a huge berm. They would feed rabbits.
Yep.
So we got to see live rabbit feed. I mean, it was probably they were doing too much, but we loved it. We loved it. And like I said, there's just all these moments that just keep reeling you in and growing your affinity for this hobby and these animals. It's been an incredible journey for sure.
That's amazing, man. So you said you like to herp growing up, right? I kind of want to, we'll wrap this up here shortly. So guys, if you don't want, or if you guys have any questions, throw them out in the comments now if you want them answered. But I have a few more questions for you.
For sure.
You said you liked herping and, catching stuff as a kid. What were your favorite things to catch?
Yeah. So to be honest, it really took off when I lived in Nevada. And so we would catch the collared lizards.
Those are cool
in the rocky portions of the high desert. So you'd have to, catch them basking on the red rocks. But then in the sagebrush, you would have these whiptail lizards and these leopard lizards that a lot of people don't see. There's a RC Reptiles on IG is a childhood friend of mine who does wildlife photography, and he herps still. That's his jam. He catches rattlesnakes and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I actually follow them.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he is still living my life back then, posting leopard lizards, and I'm like, dude, this is bringing me back. But he said a lot of those areas that when we were kids we used to herp in are being developed. It's just super sad. But yeah, no, those are the high desert stuff is what we caught the most. When I was in California, it was more like newts. So there's a lot of salamanders. It just different. We were up in the Santa Cruz Hills, so there was some snake garters and stuff.
You ever catch rubber boas up there?
Rubber boas, yeah, lots of rubber boas.
That's one I always see. Brian Gundy's. I know you said you're in the same area. I always see him catch rubber boas, and I just get jealous every time. They're actually native to parts of Washington. Okay, but that's one of the only I believe there's only 2 species now that I haven't found in Washington. I haven't found the rubber boas, and I haven't found the bulls that we have here.
The bull snakes, yeah.
So I found everything else, but I always see those rubber boas. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah. No,
they're such a cool looking snake, man.
They are cool. They are very cool. But there's just, I don't know. That's another thing I would like to go take my daughter to do, just kind of bring her back to the areas that I grew up in, and
that'd be awesome.
And spend some time up in the mountains and hiking and things like that. Another thing that in terms of hobbies, well, I think you might have a question. I don't know. But in terms of hobbies, snowboarding is something that I've done my whole life too. So I finally, when they're talking about mountains, finally got to go to Colorado this year with my brother. And it's just, I was thinking, I wish I was here in the summer to go herping. I was thinking that the whole time we were there. Like, it was incredible. Like, the snowboarding was great, but I was thinking, like, wow, look at all these spots. I mean, this is insane. But
they must not have been that buried in snow then.
The lower levels weren't, but when you got up
yeah.
in high elevation, that's where the snow was. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
But all these,
if you're ever in the Northwest, man, I'll take you to some killer spots.
For sure.
That's one of my things. I still go herping every year. We just went about a week ago or so. Caught a bunch of garters, alligator lizard, found this bullfrog.
Did you get it? Oh, that's another thing that I used to catch was the alligator lizards. Man, they're nasty. I got bit by so many alligator lizards as a kid.
Dude, right? This
so
last
nasty.
one I found surprised the hell out of me. We were actually done herping. We were on our, it was a couple mile walk back to the car, the trailhead. Yeah. And it was just sitting in the middle of the trail. I picked it up. It didn't do anything. And
really?
if northern alligator lizards, they're flighty. Like even getting within 10 feet, like you got to dive to be able to catch them. No, this guy literally, I almost stepped on him, and I just bent down and picked it right up. It had a few missing toes on its back foot, but otherwise it wasn't injured at all.
He's
like it
was
all healed up and stuff. I was like, this guy's just a badass. He's like, nothing's gonna fuck with me. I'm chilling on the trail.
Right. Yeah.
It's the only time ever, though, that I've not been bit by a northern alligator lizard.
Yeah,
those guys are freaking nuts.
They're just reach around and get you every time.
Right.
Those long bodies, they just can contort them. And they just reach around and snap at you every time.
Yep.
But
see, even Shane, alligator lizards all day
he
long.
knows.
Yep, you already know. So, any other hobbies besides the hunting and the fishing and stuff like that? Man. Is there anything else you really love to do?
Yeah, snowboarding's something I've done my whole life, and that part of like getting to a transition stage in my life, 40s, here comes 50, you're going to age. One commitment that I've made to myself is just staying active, and so that's something that me and my brother share a passion for is the reptiles and then snowboarding. He's just absolutely an amazing, wicked snowboarder because he goes more often. So I don't even try to keep up with him, but it's it's great exercise. It's cool vibes, when you can get up to the mountains. Yeah. We were able to get away and go stay up in Colorado for about a week this year. And it was just, just those life moments that, you'll never forget. So
that's awesome. And to have that connection with your little brother, man. Yeah, that's awesome.
The only way we were able to do it is because of COVID, because he wasn't on tour. Yeah. And because he's been on tour, for the last, I don't know how many years, 6, 7 years. And then I've been working and life happens. And so we've been trying to plan this trip for 10 years and it finally happened. It was cool.
Damn. That's awesome, man. At least something good came out of 2020, right?
Well, my son was born and then I was
okay. Well, damn.
Lots of good things, and we were able to kind of build this platform a little bit more. I was able to pursue my master's. I mean, to be honest with you, 2020 was a good year for me. Lots of positive things have happened. I was able to take more classes than I thought that I was going to initially. I'm actually going to graduate in the fall. So I literally got my master's program done in in a year.
In a year. Damn.
Yeah. Just because, with COVID, I mean, I was actually working the whole time. But I didn't necessarily, because I could work remotely. I was doing a lot of trainings via this platform and what have you. And then I was delivering a lot of food and resources to people. It was a crazy year. It was an insane year. But I always just like to talk crap because we all had to stay home and miss our shows. But honestly, I actually did pretty well in 2020, and it gave me time to, like you said, focus on other stuff that you wouldn't have been able to beforehand. Nope. So literally, I put all that energy or whatever it was that people were generating due to the virus or what have you, and I just put it into the things I wanted to accomplish, and it worked.
And you can definitely see the people who did that versus the people who just slacked off for the last year.
For sure. I just seen it as an opportunity. I mean, all of us had been begging for time to do these things, to have a brother's trip, to finish up school, to whatever, expand my family, all these things, we had the time and we ended up doing it. So it was good. The thing that stunk about it was seeing the people that I care about around me who was going through it, So that was hard. I had lots of, relatives and,
Yeah.
families that I had worked with professionally that, were going through it. And it was a tough time for a lot of people. So I don't discount that, at all. But anywho.
Hey, thanks for jumping on, James. I appreciate it, brother. You have a good night with the family, man.
Oh, cool. Morph Mechanics. Absolutely.
Yeah, he was dipping out there. So I got to ask one last thing because I wanted to wrap it up with this conversation because it's something that I love outside of reptiles, but fishing.
Yeah.
What do you mainly fish for? I know we kind of briefly glanced on it before,
Dude,
but
I've caught just about everything in North America. So I fished a lot in the Pacific Ocean growing up. Like one thing that I did with my dad and my brother when I used to come home and visit is go out on the Queen of Hearts. I'll even tell you the boat and the charter and everything out of Half Moon Bay and go like rock fishing and salmon fishing in saltwater like often. So yearly. I've had a couple
like
birthdays.
The rock soles? Is that what you're talking about?
So yeah, there's sole, there's like the halibut, but like the rock cod and the ling cod.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of that and salmon. And so I've also caught like the spawning salmon in the Sacramento River. Coming in, to California, I fish a lot of Sac River, striper bass.
Do they have a big salmon run down there?
Yes.
Yeah.
In California, they come into the Sac River. And so they come in. That's an estuary, so you got the salt water that comes into the fresh water, and they come upstream. And so when the spawn's on, you want to hit it. Sacramento is the hot spot because that's where the biggest river in California is. So. But anyways, and then out here, it's a lot of game fish, man. So largemouth bass. I go up north to Minnesota and fish. That's where, my significant other's from. And so her family's there. So her dad's a huge fisherman. So do a lot of, walleye fishing and pike fishing and smallmouth bass. And
how's the walleye and pike? That's one I've never caught, man. I heard they fight like crazy though.
Yeah, they're huge. I caught some big boys last summer. Last 4th of July, it would be a year from now. And it was just a hot day. Like everything kind of got drug out because we were planning for all the families to come together. We didn't get on the boat till late. It was one of those like 100-degree days. We're like, we're not going to catch anything. And then we just started knocking them dead. Middle of the day, we're out there boiling. We cracked the code. We're popping. Everybody's on the boat catching fish. It was one of the best days in a long time. Yeah, so cool.
I've always wondered, will they really follow your lure all the way back to the boat?
Oh, 100%. So were walleye. I remember I was visiting my best friend who moved to Iowa when we went out on the West Coast. And it was the first time I had been to the Midwest. And his dad took me fishing. And I caught my first largemouth bass in the Midwest. But another thing I was throwing this huge crankbait. And they're laughing at me like, oh, what's this boy doing? Like, why is he fishing with that? And I was almost into the boat, this huge Yozuri. I'll never forget this blue Yozuri crankbait. And it's almost the boat. I just see this huge mouth behind it. And I left my lure in there and boom, I ended up landing the fish. And it was an 8-pound walleye.
Holy shit.
Yeah. That was the first walleye I ever caught in my life. And so, it's moments like that where you're just like, yeah. I didn't even I had to fly home. I didn't even get to stay and eat it.
Man.
But
I've been really curious about that fish because I've actually been watching a bunch of videos lately about them because I want to go out. I want to target them. It's one of the few I haven't caught here in our local freshwater fish. And I see all these videos. They're like, oh yeah, it'll follow it right back to the boat. I'm like, no, fuck. Most fish are boat shy.
Any of those predator fish like bass, muskie, pike, walleye, they'll get
I've had bass do it, but I guess I just don't have experience with the the walleye, pike, and muskie.
Trout will do it. Trout will follow your lure.
Yeah, sometimes. I think a lot of the lakes I go to, they're a little more boat shy.
Okay.
Yeah, so we tend to fish, anywhere between 50 to 100 feet off the boat. Yeah, because otherwise they're right there.
With bait or what?
I mainly do bait. Yep.
Yeah, like power bait or eggs or what?
No, worm and scent. And scent, yeah. No marshmallow. That seems to do the trick. Yep, a little marshmallow or a bead. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Or as much as I hate to admit it, those little power eggs do pretty good.
Those work too.
Even though I know my buddy's listening in the background and he's going to give me shit as soon as this stream's over.
Like, I can't believe you admitted that on the live.
Yep. No, I bet you the message is already there. Did you just fucking say power eggs?
Right. Can't believe you. But no, I mean, fishing is a life skill. It's a lifetime sport, something you can do the rest of your life. It's something I've done my whole life. Yep. And I think part of taking care of yourself is having enough of that stuff. You know, fishing, like I'm not gonna be able to snowboard the rest of my life. Probably not at the magnitude that I want to. I could probably scoot around, you know, for a while. You know, golf's another thing you can do, you know, while you're able, you know, for the majority of your life. But same with like archery. There's lots of things that are lifetime sports, and it's important to have a bunch of those to take care of yourself. You know, and figure out where they fit, you know, versus figuring out how much time you don't have, figure out how much time you do have, you know.
Oh yeah. No, I love fishing, man. I love getting out there. Like I said, it's mainly freshwater, you know, mainly trout and stuff like that. But it's just so peaceful, man. You get out there and you can just enjoy doing anything. And I don't know about you, but I like to catch a little bit of everything. So I'll fish for trout half the day, and then I'm like, oh, the trout bites off. All right, let me go catch some perch or some bass.
Oh, 100%. No, that's beautiful that you have both of those. There's not a lot of trout fishing out here. You have to go down south a few hours, and there's lots of rivers, like on the Arkansas border is really good trout fishing. But up here, it's mostly like lakes and ponds, and it's mostly like bass and bluegill and crappie. Have you heard of do you know what a crappie is? Yep. We catch crappie here. Not nowhere near the size you guys have out there. You know, we're talking little 8-9 inch crappie, nothing. So in the Midwest, the two most probably prominent targeted fish for eating is crappie and catfish. So flathead and blue catfish, particularly, because they're the predator fish. Flatheads and blue cats eat other prey fish, and so the meat actually tastes better. Whereas, you know, channel cats, you know, are feeding off the bottom.
They're garbage feeders, basically. Yeah.
So, you know, you get a little bougie, a little snobby with your catfish after you had both. You know, most people are like, I'll just take the catfish. I'm like, is that a channel? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That's hilarious, man.
That's the thing.
Dude, I actually just caught my first catfish the other week.
Did you?
Nothing to write home about. It was like just over 2.5 pounds, but I'd never caught a catfish before then. I thought it was a fucking trout. And I was like, I thought it was like a tank of a trout, because you know how catfish are. They're just like dead weight sometimes. It's hard 100%. To pull them up, and, you know, they'll just go against you. So I thought it was just this big freaking hog of a trout, man. I was getting all excited, like getting it back to the freaking my buddy's little John boat. He's got a little 12-foot John boat we go out in, right?
That's perfect.
So I'm getting all stoked. He goes to net it, and we get it up to the surface.
It's all tangled.
Like, no, it was just I didn't expect a fucking catfish. I was expecting a big old rainbow, and then this thing comes up, and it's just this big blob, and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
I actually have a similar story. The first catfish I caught was on the Sac River. And we were fishing for stripers, and we were catching all these little stripers. And I was with my dad, and I put my rod down, and I went to go talk with him. I came back, my rod was on the ground, and I started reeling it in, and it was just a hog, just dead weight. Oh, damn. I'm reeling it in. It was another 8-pound catfish. It was a huge catfish. Yeah, it was crazy. Just on accident. In the Sac River. So sometimes they'll surprise you.
Damn, you know? I never would have expected that. There's not even supposed to be on the Fish and Wildlife website. There's not even supposed to be catfish in that lake. And I caught a cat. I have photo proof. I sent it into the Fish and Wildlife. I was like, hey, just so you know, there is catfish in here.
Right, they got me.
It's not a linked lake either. There's no, you know, there's some small streams that come in and out of it, but nothing that the actual fish can travel on. It's just very small streams, you know, and inlets coming down from the mountain. So it's, you know, it's a landlocked lake there. And I was really surprised. I was like, I've never seen anything. Like,
there's lots of farm ponds around here that don't have crappie posted, and I catch them all the time. So I don't know what's going on with all that. But
I always wonder if it's just some guy who's like, I like to fish this spot, but there's none of this. So I'm going to go catch it here and put it in here.
Right. Exactly. Well, we don't have to worry about any good spots anymore, because Mindy said we can just go fish in her pond. So.
Oh, wait, what? I just saw that.
Yeah, we're good.
In the pond behind my house, we have bass.
Thank you. We'll catch and release. All right. We'll catch and release. We won't leave any litter.
That's fine with me. We'll have to we'll go party at Mindy's. We're going fishing.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, man. Well, hey, we're already over 2 hours. I know you got, you know, your little one and everything, and it's getting late over there. But do you have anything that you want to say to wrap up with everybody?
No, I just appreciate you having me, Dylan. You know, I really appreciate, you know, not only the invite, but just how you carry yourself. You know, we've got to spend a lot more time together lately, and it's been a pleasure. I mean, big snake guy, a lot of respect. you know, a lot of respect.
Thank you, man. Thank
No,
you.
I
That
know.
goes both ways. I really appreciate
For
you
sure.
coming on here. Like I said, I know it's late over there, so I mean,
Yeah.
staying
I
on for
was
the
ready,
full
man.
2 hours and hanging out, dude, I appreciate it greatly. I know we're a little bit of everywhere, but like I said, that's kind of how I like to do these streams. I don't like to do the whole structured, let me ask you this same question every single time, because, you know, we just got to let the conversation flow, even if we go back and forth, you know.
For sure. I think that speaks to who we are too. You know, we represent a lot of different things, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly, man. Hey, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you, man. You have a wonderful night, and we'll definitely talk soon.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me. Good night, everybody.
God damn, you guys. That was an awesome show. I knew it was going to be really awesome having Rodney on. You know, like he was just saying, we've been able to connect a lot more recently, and I'm just really loving the projects, the way he's going with his stuff, and just how he presents himself. You know, like he was just saying he likes how I present myself, which that meant a lot actually, but I've really liked the way Rodney presents himself in every aspect of conversations when I've seen him on, you know, Instagram, YouTube, and the Discords. He's just always so polite, always so helpful, and have some killer stuff going on. So please, if you guys don't mind, go down below, follow the link, go give him a follow on YouTube, Instagram, and all of the social media platforms he has linked down there. And until next time, you guys, peace.